By now, you've probably heard about the government shutdown. But what does it mean for the auto industry? Being Automotive News, we're breaking down how stalled federal operations could ripple through automakers, suppliers, and consumers. From delayed safety testing and regulatory reviews to slowed loan programs and trade talks. I should say before we dive in, if you'd rather hear a quicker, straight-to-the-point version of what's happening, check out my colleague/reporter behind the story, Molly Boygan, on the Automotive News Daily Drive podcast. She breaks it down in just a few minutes. I'll have an edit of her chat on the podcast soon, if not immediately after this very video is posted. Anyway, with all that said, here's what the shutdown could mean for the road ahead. The federal government shut down on October 1st after Congress failed to reach a deal to fund its operation. Federal agencies retain the staff necessary to protect lives and property, but other important functions cease. Past shutdowns have ranged from a few hours to 35 days. Let's start with one of the most critical agencies for automakers, the Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA's reduced staffing during a shutdown raises big questions about whether vital certification and compliance work will move forward. There are 15,166 employees at the EPA, and the agency said in its shutdown contingency plan that it would retain only 1,734 of them. Among the activities that the EPA said would stop are conducting research and publication of research results unless necessary for exempted or accepted activities, civil enforcement inspections unless necessary for exempted or accepted activities, and issuance of permits, guidance, regulations, and policies unless necessary for exempted or accepted activities. That has raised the auto industry alarm about whether the EPA's Office of Transportation and Air Quality's Implementation, Analysis, and Compliance Division and its Testing and Advanced Technology Division can maintain normal operations. These entities certify vehicle compliance with the Clean Air Act. Quote, a delay in certification of 2026 and 2027 model year vehicles beyond their anticipated start of production would necessarily either delay their manufacture or result in the need to store built vehicles while they wait for a certificate. Dan Bowerson, the Alliance for Automotive Innovation's Vice President of Energy and Environment Policy, said September 29th in a letter to the EPA. Either choice carries significant economic consequences for manufacturers and could interrupt the normal supply of vehicles to the market, and creating scarcity of some models and potential price increases. The EPA declined to say specifically whether the certifying divisions were continuing to operate and directed Automotive News back to its contingency plan. Quote, EPA is operating according to our lapse plan, an agency spokesperson said in an email. Congressional Democrats have chosen to shut down the government. If they want to reopen the government, they can choose to do so at any time. How will tariffs be affected by the government shutdown? The Department of Homeland Security's contingency plan specifies that it will stop all financial operations and financial system operations except for U.S. Customs and Border Protection revenue collections and other exempted activities. U.S. Customs and Border Protection collects tariffs and passes them on to the Treasury, so border agents will continue that activity. The U.S. is investigating additional tariffs using Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 for goods such as robotics and industrial manufacturing equipment. The Department of Commerce said in its plan that the Office of Assistant Secretary for Export Administration will undertake the necessary work to address the effect of imported articles on national security, which suggests that those investigations will continue during the shutdown. Analysts at TD Cowen said in a September 24th research note that court orders and timelines are firm, but import and export applications and U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement compliance support are more at risk for disruption. How will this shutdown affect the Department of Transportation? The Federal Highway Administration and NHTSA both said in the Department of Transportation's plan that they do not intend to furlough any employees because compensation is financed by a resource other than annual appropriations. The Federal Highway Administration said all operations continue as normal during a lapse in annual appropriations, including activities and personnel funded from the supplemental appropriations portion of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. That likely would include distributing funding through the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Formula Program. The agency said it has significant cash to support several months of reimbursements. However, it said its budget officer could halt distribution during a shutdown of certain funds that need to be allocated by Congress. How will the shutdown affect battery manufacturing tax credits? The Trump administration's massive tax and spending law added sourcing requirements for taxpayers to claim tax credits for manufacturing battery components. Eligible components shall not include any property which includes any material assistance from a prohibited foreign entity, the law said. The claimant cannot be a specified foreign entity or a foreign influence entity, including foreign entities of concern under a 2021 National Defense Authorization and an entity identified as a Chinese military company operating in the United States, among other stipulations. The government has said it would offer more information on the sourcing requirements. Now updated guidance about foreign entities of concern is potentially delayed, according to the September 24th TD Cowen research note, though the IRS's contingency plan said its personnel would continue normal operations. For the latest updates on how the shutdown is impacting the auto industry, and for more in-depth reporting, head over to autonews.com.